Welcome back to another episode of Wander and Wonder. It's been a little while, but just want to see really if this new equipment works. Talk about some stuff I've been thinking about lately, and like for example, we're in the new year, 2023. Revolutions of the alleged Earth around the alleged Sun. I guess even the revolutions are alleged right now, but yeah, that seems to be the claim anyhow. And a lot of people were coerced into making New Year's resolutions, by one another. Maybe they thought it a good idea themselves to, seize the opportunity, all the new energy on this first day of the new year. You won't see this again for 12 months, 52 weeks, however long, right? So, yeah, why not take example, new year, new me. That's what people say. And this year I didn't really feel too compelled to make a New Year's resolution. Not to say I've got it all dialed in and there aren't big changes I want to make with my life, but I think any change worth making is going to take a lot longer than a day. And if you were to fail this resolution that you make, based on the fact that you've been entrenched in patterns of behavior going back months or years or even decades, in my case, decades, or maybe single decade, having turned 30 and all. If you're going to make a big change that's different from that behavior, it might take a few tries and it might take a lot of energy. And that might be one of the reasons why people claim to that New Year's Day as something, with enough energy to convince them, hey, if I fuck this up, I gotta wait all this time. Like, it's such an important day. Like, I'm gonna make it today. But why not just make that your tomorrow? And that's not to take any significance away from New Year's Day, because it is that significant day. But I suppose if calendars are just creations and measurements, why not just make tomorrow just as important as New Year's Day? Why not do that every day? And that's not to say, oh, well, if I fuck up, I have tomorrow. But at the same time, it's almost saying exactly that. It's not an excuse to screw up. It's not an excuse, to take today for granted, but I think it's to assign significance equal to how special that first day of New Year's is. A lot of people tend to make healthy decisions, whether concerning behavior or physical health, things like drug intake, diet, exercise, things like that. So because they know, given the significance, oh, another year, I am getting older, the time is passing. Why not make those types of decisions every day? And why not live, not only as though it's day one, but as though it's your final day, which is, that whole memento mori, seize the day sort of thing, carpe diem. Remember that you will die. Because today could be your last, and you might not know it. There might be opportunities that you could come by if you were just to live a little bit longer. And so, of course, this is to say, don't take your own life. Don't even consider taking your own life. Know that you could if you needed to. But you might be missing out on some great opportunities in the near future, and good things come to those who wait. And we train our minds and we train our bodies not just to become more skilled in a training, but to prepare ourselves for certain outcomes, or certain opportunities, for certain events that may take place in the future, where it's required to make use of one's mind, or one's body. And so that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. Just treat every day like it's New Year's Day, like it's special. Don't take significance away from days just because they're day number 2 because of some Roman calendar created, however many years ago, whatever they tell us, however many alleged years ago. So keep your mind free and open, but focus on the truth. And if you can't find the truth, strive to live as close to that truth as possible. Perhaps, and in my mind, I do believe it's so, a perfect life was lived by a man on this earth. And that man sacrificed everything for us so that we can be forgiven for our imperfections. So long as we strive to achieve as close as we can to perfect, to the ideal, then we will be blessed, We'll make God happy. Whatever God is to you, you will notice opportunities come your way if you just act well in this world. And I believe that, that's it's part of the structure that I've created for myself. And having been removed from any real societal value structure, I have found it necessary to create somewhat of a structure for myself, which is very much a lot of the themes of the old videos go into speaking about that. And it's not something that is as solid as I would like it to be. I'd like there to be some sort of a consistency in the lessons that I teach, but if you could call this teaching, all it really is just free thinking, wandering around the woods, trying to get in touch with nature. The nature that is also perfect around us, that perhaps we disturb, perhaps is disturbed on a greater level, and perhaps everything is just all part of this great plan, Everything is mathematically falling into place. But we just go out here, we seek truth, we try to talk about the things that are worth talking about, that are worth thinking about. And I don't really make these videos for anyone anyways. I just kind of do it as an exercise in free thought. And if it rings true to you, if you can tell that maybe I am somebody that you want to listen to, then sure, you're allowed. I'll allow it. I guess is to say, maybe I don't get out as much as I should, but I don't think I'm narcissistic enough to create a speaking event with me at the center of it just so I can talk about things off the top of my head. But I guess I've been doing that now for about 50 videos. Missed about a half year there, and there's lots of stuff that you can go through. And maybe those videos at the beginning were pretty raw. Maybe I had some issues with finding truth in those deeply emotional states, but it's not to say there's my truth and there's your truth. But there are things that ring true to people with a bad radar for detecting truth that aren't true. There are things which the deceived will take as fact, having lost their ability to discern. And that's another thing I think just about living well, is that if you fail to live well, you will lose your ability to discern. You'll be more easily tricked. And the world out here will take you for all you're worth. It's not to say that there are malevolent forces or anything that are inescapable, but I think when posed with the question, will I make a good decision or will I make a bad decision based out of fear, you have to realize that the consequences are bigger than just that moment. And something which could appear a good decision at one time could present itself as a worse decision at a later time. So just I guess it's being self-aware. I guess it's being self-reflective. This is why people say keep a journal. They're gifts to yourself in the future. You're able to gain a lot more insight about yourself and what you're thinking at any given time. If you don't feel right writing poetry or making art or making music, all of these things are forms of thought. So if you really do put your full body, your full mind, your full spirit into it as an artist, you should be able to find something that rings true. It's not often we see very many people out here at this time, past the sunset in the pitch black forest. So again, we reflect on the fact that maybe I am the person that others should be scared of, and maybe they'll leave me alone, or maybe it's just the mystery of darkness, the classic, what you can't see, what you can't understand, it's better to stay away from. Not always necessarily true, right? Like there's mystery in the dark, and there's a certain silence, characteristics of introspection and softness, and of course mystery. To close one's eyes is to open one's mind, and maybe that's why we were told to not to make big loud displays of prayer in public, but to take prayer into our closets, into those dark spots where we can be alone within our home, to speak with God. And I think the existence of the supernatural is an important thing to think about, which is what religion upholds, is a true belief in something greater than the physical. And maybe it's just the math which occurs between events, events which have novelty, events which have energy. Because when you think of a memory to which you have energy attached, and I don't just mean like hippy-dippy energy, I mean like real emotions. If you think of an event to which you have emotions attached, you can feel a reaction. And does that event exist anywhere anymore? Not on this timeline. If you believe that multiple dimensions are all occurring at once, which I don't know. I'm not really of that mind. What I do believe is that when we think about things, these things occur with a similar weight, or whatever weight we've been able to imbue in terms of energy, emotional energy, into them. So they occur again within us. And if that's not supernatural, I don't know what is. I suppose you could say, well, it's a consequence of having a memory, of having emotions, and being outside the now. And I think in some ways, to be in the now in a way that isn't like new agey and flaky, is to be able to look at all those parts of yourself which are hidden in the dark. Before you ever reach that moment, you have to be clear in of yourself, to borrow a phrase from Scientology, clear in of yourself. So I think this whole idea of finding happiness in this world is a lot more complex, but simultaneously simple than we could ever imagine. So reflect, journal, write, think, find time alone, go outside, all the typical things that I would say. And consequentially, it's the simplest, most frustratingly simple things that if we do all the time, we can become better people. We can make this world a better place, not just for the masses, but for the real ones, the non-NPCs. So that's pretty much everything for today. Thanks for listening. It's been Wander and Wonder.